Okay, so the snow's beautiful and all. So you might be asking yourself, why, Dylan, have you subjected yourself to this bitter cold when I could be filming from the comfort of my own home with the heater on? And I'm also asking myself that. Hey everyone, how's it going? So it is the last week of October, and it's Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah, fall lasted for about a week at most, and this is indicated by the fact that the trees still have some color, which is actually really beautiful when snow is sitting on fall leaves. It's really nice, but a little bit surreal, but that's sort of American Midwest weather for you. You never know what you're gonna get. Anyway, the answer is, I think it's relevant to the topic that I want to discuss today, which has to do with decision making and consequences of your decisions. And namely, in chess, when we think about evaluation of certain positions, we think of our moves as contributing to the bettering or worsening of our position. And this is somewhat true, but when we make a move, strictly speaking, the evaluation bar can only go down or stay the same, as if we're maintaining the balance. But we can never make a move that will actually improve our position. If our position improves, it's only because of our opponent making an inferior move. And if you pay close attention to the evaluation bar when you're analyzing a game, it doesn't matter which engine you're using, it's impossible for you to make a move that actually leaves you with a better position than before you made it. And I wrote about this idea and the potential philosophical implications last year, and I thought I would share it with you today. I named it Intender. If chess is theoretically drawn, although the merit of the winning side maintaining equality is a factor, the active decider of a game's outcome is the failure of the losing side in maintaining equality. For example, in making one or more moves which skews the evaluation in his or her opponent's favor. This assumes that at any point during the course of a game, a move either maintains equilibrium or throws it off. Modern computer evaluations use a numerical spectrum, which often says the position is better or worse for one side by a margin of roughly like 0.5, relatively meaning half a pawn's material advantage. Of course, this evaluation scale and material value system is arbitrary. It's a man-made construction, which we've taught the computer to use. And I will pause here and say that at the time I wrote this, I wasn't privy to the mechanisms that neural networks such as AlphaZero use in order to teach itself how to improve and how to make decisions. But we'll put that aside for now. So I said this, of course, this evaluation scale and material value system is a man-made construction which we've taught the computer to use. However, we must admit that even for computers, since they mostly use this arbitrary fluctuating evaluation criteria we give it, most positions are far too deep for a computer to understand. And this is true whether we're talking about AlphaZero or any other earlier engine. Thus, most evaluations are nothing more than the engine's best guess. This is why it's of theoretical interest whether chess is solvable to a draw or a win for white. If the former is true, despite both players likely making several moves which disrupt the equilibrium, we can say that the game's outcome is ultimately decided not by the player who does a better job at successfully carrying out the drawn destiny of the game, but by the player who fails to uphold the game's pure drawn potential. In this way, sorry, I gotta turn the page. If chess is drawn, there can be no winner, no evaluation of his or her position which is better than equality, no progress from where he or she started. Even in positions with a crushing attack and massive material advantage. There is no victor, only victims. There is no murder, only suicide. Well, this is a bit dramatic. This advantage is only perceived to be a positive good, an improvement to the starting position, when in fact it's exactly equivalent or in most cases, a bit worse than the starting position. So in this way, humans through chess demonstrate their sloppy, ignorant disposition, though this reality is masked from us. On the contrary, if chess is a win for white, the winner of the game shouldn't be treated as a victor. He or she should be treated as if nothing happened, as if the game hadn't been played to begin with, for nothing has been achieved. If the game is drawn or black wins under this paradigm, the black player shouldn't be celebrated as they typically are for achieving equality or gaining or converting an advantage. The responsibility of these events occurring would fall only on the white player for having made one or a series of inaccuracies which denies him or her his or her winning destiny. People just aren't like this. They celebrate victories and mourn defeat, internalizing their own decisions in ways which may or may not be justified. That nothing in the world outside of our intentions and our ability to affect outcomes based on our intentions should be considered when assigning praise or blame. That there is no intender, no framework to relate what happens to where we started. Okay, and we've done this before. I made another video talking about transpositions relating to reality, and I do think you have to take all of these discussions with a grain of salt, because it can only really be an abstract correlation between the constructs in a game of chess and the rules involved in a game of chess and the rules and constructs we live by in reality. For example, like Newton's laws of physics. And I am a pretty staunch subjectivist. For example, I think language is a construct, math is a construct, morality is a construct. In general, I have pretty deflationary or just fully subjectivist perspectives on all of these topics. But I do definitely think there is poetic potential and the opportunity to reflect on ourselves and the way we want to live our lives based on what chess has to offer to teach us. And whenever you're looking to relate certain things and you already have an opinion on the way the world works, you're probably more likely to find relationships between the two things, which confirms and not denies your previously held perspectives. But in any case, I'm going to go ahead and run through my thoughts about how what I just read could play into our daily lives. For one, I think it does encourage humility. For example, I do think it undermines the notion that we have full control over our own outcomes. I think other people play a large role in our successes as well as our failures, and we would do well to acknowledge this, especially when other people contribute to our successes. For example, anyone below the poverty line, if you yourself are not there, is contributing to you being above the poverty line. And this is just a simple economic principle that, there's a finitude of resources in the world. There are probably much more efficient economic systems to structure a society around than the ones currently in place. But given human nature, it's not so easy. And I think it really has to be said that just because you work super hard at something, you achieve your goals, and perhaps you make a lot of money doing so. This is related to chess because, again, when you make a move, you don't improve your own position. You have to wait for your opponent to make a poor move so that you can exploit it. Okay, so here I wanted to show you an example of what I'm talking about. This is the famous Edward Lasker game with the queen sacrifice on h7, leading to a forced king walk all the way down to white's first rank, ending with a king checkmate. So extremely beautiful. If you haven't seen it before, you're in for a real treat. But the point is that you'll see the evaluation bar is around equal right now. And after this queen move by white queen h5, setting up this mating threat on h7, well, it's not a threat yet. Black actually walks into the threat with queen e7 here. And now you see the engine bar shoot up. And the point is that it's only after black's poor move that the evaluation bar turns in white's favor. It is never after white's move. So you can see here after the queen sacrifice on h7, the evaluation stays exactly the same, because it's white's job to carry out this this mate that is available for him. If not, the engine is just going to laugh at you. If you play some random move like h3, guess what? You've lost your opportunity, and the evaluation is back to close to equal. So really, in essence, the player whose turn it is to move is sort of chasing the ideal evaluation. They're trying to fulfill something that already exists in the position, not create something from scratch. It's more of a discovery than a creation, I think. So Queen h7, and we see this beautiful king march with all forcing moves. And again, note that the evaluation stays the same throughout. It would only be if white slips up that the evaluation turns a little bit in black's favor. And here we have king d2 checkmate. And likewise, it's in life, it's only because of other people's decisions and value systems that you're able to thrive and succeed. Oh my God, it's so cold, my fingers are about to fall off. Number two is that there's an element of pessimism inherent in the idea that that you don't control your own outcomes all the time, and that any positive things you do to work towards, and it is a lot of work maintaining a balance in chess, maintaining the, if chess is a draw, you have to play perfectly just to prove it. And it's hard, it takes a lot of energy. And this is a little bit counterintuitive if the game's just gonna end in a draw, but yeah, I think it leads you to a bit of pessimism if you have to work super hard in order to just achieve a draw. This is actually visible in my own opening choices, aka the Slav, the Caro-Kann. I'm just gonna play d5, c6, e6, and just like pray that I'm gonna survive. Number three, again, I do want to reiterate that our successes and our failures, I think, are mostly constructs. And yeah, by that I mean they're subjective to our values and also to the framework by which we decide that something should be considered a success or a failure. For example, our decisions are going to be qualitatively on a scale based on what is better or worse towards our survival, for example. This is just one arbitrary framework by which to judge our actions. It's pretty clear that every decision you make is either going to give you a higher probability to not survive, or it's not going to affect your probability. But since we're already alive, our decisions can only bring us closer to the probability of not surviving. Gotta look both ways before you cross the street. And by this arbitrary framework, we can consider preventing a bad outcome to be a success. And there's nothing that is just an inherently positive outcome. It's just a lack of a very bad outcome. Okay, finally, and I'm almost home, thank God, because my hand is about to literally fall off. There's a quote in chess that says, whoever makes the last mistake will lose. And I don't think this is strictly true either. I think whoever makes the worst mistakes combined over the course of the game will lose. Whoever makes the last mistake, you could be in a completely winning position and you may end up still winning the game if you make several mistakes along the way to converting. For example, you fail to find several mate in 1, mate in 2, mate in 3. Okay, so I just got home and set up a heating pad for my hand because I didn't want to have my fingers amputated. So you can say that maybe with my poor decision of filming in the snow, I made my probability higher that my fingers would have to be amputated. I do have a quick update before the end of this video, which is that I just finished a monumental project that I've had going for at least a year, a couple years probably, which is that I have compiled all of my openings into separate databases per opening on ChessBase, and all of them have, you know, pretty deep opening theory that I've compiled from various resources like Chessable and other paid databases like Modern Chess, stuff I've figured out with friends, stuff I've put together myself with an engine. So basically, now, whenever I analyze a tournament game, I'm going to find that either I got out of the opening very well, and had a great, reasonable position, or I forgot my theory. So that will be the only excuse from here on out, that it is a memory issue, which is still very likely to cause some issues, but we'll see. At least it feels very nice to have it all organized the way I have it. And the really nice thing is that it really helps with preparation, because I've even written a bunch of notes in each database so that when I prepare for someone before a tournament, I can see what they play, prepare a line, and I can actually read all the notes about how to handle the position and the middle game and the plans before going into that game, and just to have it right there in the forefront of my mind. And I don't think this is something that I've seen recommended or that anyone else is doing, but this is something that I'm really looking forward to being able to use when over-the-board chess starts back up. So thanks for listening to my ramblings today. That's all for this video. Let me know if you have any thoughts about anything we've talked about today, including evaluations, you know, making a move, having it help or harm your position, the philosophical implications of such, and yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.